listening to the Cars of Carlisle podcast, episode 46. Local Mopar fan Mike Both.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, you will meet with local car guy Mike Both from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Yes, there is a town near Carlisle that was originally named for many of its residents being car mechanics. Truth, check it out. Anyhow, back to this week's episode. Do you remember riding in the back of a convertible, cruising with your parents or friends? Well, within this episode, you'll learn how Mike has made great memories with his kids as they cruise with Dad in the family's 1966 Dodge Polara 500 convertible. And you'll learn about his former 383 cubic inch Barracuda and even a workhorse VW Rabbit diesel that was his first ride. The Polara is idling. Want to go for a ride with the top down? All right then, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Cubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I'm your host, Darren. Wanted to say thank you for joining us again this week. So glad to have you with us. Today, we are going to talk with a friend of mine, Mike Both. In fact, he's a new friend, found that he is a car fan, and with that, we started to talk about having gone to Carlisle events as kids and the whole nine yards. So I spent a Saturday morning hanging out with him in his kitchen. We were talking about all things cars, and then went out to the garage to check out his 1966 Dodge Polara 500 convertible. And with that, we went back through and started talking about his first car, an 81 Volkswagen Rabbit diesel, and he had a 1967 Formula S Barracuda, a 383 with a 4-speed. So just a lot of fun talking with him about his love and interest of cars. All right, for this week's trivia question, it actually has to do with one of the cars that Mike Both owned back in the day. This is going to be a multiple choice question. The 1967 Plymouth Barracuda Fastback Formula S, equipped with a 383 cubic inch 4-speed manual, putting out approximately 280 horsepower. What was the quarter mile time in this car? Was it A, 15 seconds, B, 14.7, C, 14.1, or D, 15.3? So let's go to Mike Both's house in nearby Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Hello, Cubers. This is Darren, and I'm actually in the kitchen of Mike Both. He's a friend of mine in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and it's a Saturday morning. It's a very snowy day here in the Carlisle area. And Mike graciously has let me come in, have a cup of coffee, and talk about cars and all the things that we love about muscle cars and what have you. So, Mike, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, getting started, certainly love to have people understand a little bit about, we were talking just a few minutes ago about we're just average guys that love cars and particularly the muscle era and what have you. We were joking about your first car. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, well, the first car that I drove legally or with a driver's license,
practice or however you want to. There's no judgment here.
Let's not talk about the practicing.
Okay, all right, we'll go with the first with the license.
My dad actually had a 1981 Volkswagen Rabbit diesel.
Oh my!
So we're talking. Let's see, it would have been about 9 years old by the time I was
pretty much
able
a
to drive.
Bulletproof engine, though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, until your brother drives over a curb and knocks the oil pan off of it, and
that does...
keeps on going without any oil in it.
That is a necessary lubricant.
Yeah, needless to say, it did require a new engine after that, but then it stayed in the family until I think it had well over 300,000 miles on it when we got rid of it. But I do remember it was a standard shift. It had the one mirror on the driver's side. It didn't have a passenger side mirror, so it was bare bones, no air conditioning. Mm-hmm. And by the time I made it to college, we're talking 92, 93, I got to take it to college with me eventually, and I remember every winter in Slippery Rock not being able to drive it for probably about 4, 5, 6 weeks until it would warm up enough because the glow plugs were shot, and if you didn't have it plugged in, and even sometimes when you did have it plugged in, it wouldn't get warm enough to actually start. So you had to wait for the spring thaw to be able to actually drive the car then.
Wow. Kept you pretty much
it kept you grounded. You know.
Yep.
Slippery Rock had its own, had fun things to do. You didn't really need to drive, but it was cool having a car there.
It was hibernating.
Yeah.
Well, what about what came after that, and how did you get into the? Because I know we tried a minute ago about the Cuda that's on your fridge, a picture of that. Let's get into kind of how that car passion started to ignite.
Yeah, I think I had some friends that were really into cars, and their dads were into cars. My dad, he knew a lot about cars. He could fix them. He was a Volkswagen mechanic at one point. Sold Volkswagens, then went to work in a mill. But for him, cars were A to B. Get you from A to B. Doesn't matter, He wasn't a big car guy by any means. So these friends of mine that I had in high school, I know they were into cars. Got to meet some other friends through them. And, it was like, man, it would be really cool to get a muscle car. So I was able to find one. And one of the friends was really good at working on cars. So, built street rods and, did all kinds of stuff. And he was the type of guy, and he still is the type of guy, he'll help you out working on it. So,
nice.
Bring it over there. I have to buy all the material and stuff, but he'd guide me through the process, and he really knew what he was doing. So, came across a 1967 Formula S Barracuda. It's an A body with a big block 383 from the factory. It also had factory front disc brakes and a 4-speed. So
a bit of a rare car.
Yeah, I think I did a little research. I want to say it was like round one of 1900 of all the Barracudas, and then when you parsed it down by either the notchbacks or the fastbacks, this was a fastback. Okay. I think there was like 900 of each. So
yeah,
it had been. I still believe it. I know it. Like looking at all the markings, I know the engine wasn't original by the time it got to me. Transmission may or may not have been original. I don't think I checked that far into that, but somebody had tried to turn it into a drag car, so they cut the inner fenders out of it and had fender well headers. But a lot of work and probably more money than I should have spent on it. And we've
all been there.
I had a really nice drive to a show, and it was a good time. So but then came college and the debt with that, and it was like, hey, do you want to keep on going to college, or do you want to have a muscle car? So I had to make a decision, and I regret it every day to a certain degree because it was a really cool car, but life choices and where I'm at now in life.
Sure. And I think a lot of people that listen can relate to that. It's you've had to let go of something that you really loved, but pragmatically it wasn't
practical at the time at all. Yeah.
So,
I remember I had some really good times with that, just going to swap meets, finding parts for it, finding these obscure parts in junkyards. You could still go to a junkyard and find. I remember one time I was looking for window regulators for the back part and came across a mod top, 69 mod top Barracuda in a junkyard, and it was just completely roached. But I don't know if you know what a mod top is.
I do not, personally, no.
It's basically a hippie Barracuda. It had like a flower pattern vinyl roof, flower pattern seats on the inside.
Oh, wow.
I think it was a slant 6 car, so it wasn't really going to get up and get out of its way, really.
Sure,
but, yeah. It was just really cool. It's like that. It's like an archaeology expedition going into some of those junkyards, and I don't know that we have too many of those nowadays. It was a lot of fun for me though. Like, going, oh wow, I wonder,
Right. You're unearthing this thing. So then, what? As life began to demand practical decisions and things, where was it that you were able to come back around to keep that passion going?
I'd say, I was always had a passion for it. Would admire really nice cars and go to some car shows, but it was just by happen chance that I was driving, when I lived up in Perry County, I was driving home from Little Buffalo, me and the kids in the car, and I was like, oh, there's an old Dodge sitting there alongside the road. Somebody had a for sale sign in it. So went out there and took a look at it and wrote down the number. I was like, holy cow, it's a convertible. It's like, okay, well, let's give this guy a call, see what he wants for it. So it was an older gentleman. He had, him and his son had bought 2 cars actually from an estate sale down towards York. And it was this car, which was a 1966 Dodge Polara convertible, and the other one was, I believe, a 67 Barracuda Commando.
Okay.
Or 68. I'm not sure exactly, but I knew it was that basic A-body Barracuda. But the son really wanted the Barracuda, and so they bought him as a lot, I guess. I don't know. Okay. But then the father sold he was an elderly gentleman, but he sold the Polara, put it out for sale, and we agreed on a price, and it needed some work, and but it was a driver. You could jump in it and drive it, and the brakes were safe, and
the kids have fun in it.
Yeah, that was a big part, driving around, taking the kids to get some ice cream, or just cruising around with the top down.
Memories.
It still is. It's a lot of fun for me, It's really good at putting them to sleep if they're in the back seat, because that wind and noise, and it's
buffets them, right?
Yeah, out. 2 drooling kids in the back.
Yeah.
So.
Now, did they ever ask to go out for a ride in the convertible? Did they? It's a part of their childhood and memories that they're building with you? I think
so. Every now and then they'll say, hey, can we take the convertible? And, if the weather's good, then obviously yes. But if it's going to be
today wouldn't
iffy
be a good
weather,
day.
No, at all. It's been parked since I think October. So I haven't done much with it since October. It's just kind of been sitting in the garage waiting for the spring thaw. And
well, we're going to go out to the garage after this and take some photos. So Cubers, check out Instagram. We'll have photos of Mike's Dodge out there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. So, it's been a process. It needed some work when I got it. So it was kind of like a team project. I get them to come out and help me a little bit with either cutting patterns for making, floor panels, patches or something like that, or here, hold this while I'm underneath here trying to tighten this bolt. I pulled the engine out of it, rebuilt the engine with a friend, actually the friend that helped me with my Barracuda. I got a U-Haul trailer and pulled the motor out here and put it in a U-Haul trailer, drove it out to western Pennsylvania, and, had all the parts with me, and we rebuilt it after, had the machine work done out here, and took it out there, and he's been doing it forever, so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, had you, with your dad being a Volkswagen mechanic, had you had the opportunity to be around and do some wrenching throughout your childhood?
Yeah, basically, because I don't remember ever a car or piece of equipment or household appliance going to a shop for a repair.
Okay.
My dad may not have like a diploma to hang on a wall. He came from very meager means. Immigrated from Romania.
Okay.
1961. Basically had an 8th grade education, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. Just with being able to fabricate things, with welding, he did some blacksmithing at the mill, that not for like horseshoes, but he worked at an aggregate plant where they crushed limestone. So they have these immense crushers, and he would sit there and build the bearings for it and build the gears for it out of
true engineering mind.
Yeah, so being able to have cars that needed work done, there was no way that it was going to a mechanic. Sometimes there was a rare occasion where something like an engine was getting replaced, and he'd call one of his old buddies from Volkswagen who would come over and help him. But beyond that, he was doing all my uncle's brake jobs, oil, and to a certain, I think that just stopped about within the last 2 or 3 years. He's 80 years old now.
Okay.
But he's still trying to climb trees and run chainsaws and doing all kinds of
I like his
crazy
moxie
stuff. Yeah, until he falls out of a tree and breaks half his ribs, which
did
happen one time.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, he's. I think that's what keeps him going, and definitely he handed down the desire to be able to do things for yourself and fix things on your own, and I think that's something that's real important, and I want to pass that down to my children.
Awesome.
And help neighbors too.
That's
that
right.
was a big thing. So
that's right. Is there anything that you remember from, again, going up through your childhood and your high school days, what have you, as far as that family car or a neighbor got a new car that because I don't know about you, but we were always drawn like, hey, did you hear that the Millers just got a new, and you get on your bike or skateboard, you're like down the street, you're like, I gotta see it.
Yeah, I don't really remember that. The cars were in my family circle and extended with my neighbors. It was more an extended family through my dad's side that, they were so practical.
Okay.
It was a Datsun 210 or,
And you said about your dad being A to B. It was a form of transportation.
It was, a 78 Dodge pickup with a 3 on the tree. It wasn't anything sporty. I've never seen anything with 2 doors in his driveway.
Okay.
He assures me that he did have a Mercedes, a 67 Mercedes or 68 Mercedes that he brought over. He went on a trip back to Romania to visit some family and had family in Germany, and he had
that's
one
more than
imported.
a carry-on, I guess.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't know. Like, he didn't have tons of extra money, but he was always super frugal. So apparently, somehow he got to where it was a good deal to bring this car over, and had told me about he had to have the headlights changed and the windshield changed when it got to pass our safety stuff. So,
wow.
But it was. We had for the longest time, it was a 73 or 74 Dodge Cornet 4-door. It was like a pea green, baby puke green. I don't know what you want to call it. Slant 6, nothing fancy about it. Funny, he gave me a bunch of stuff that he dug out of his garage. It was a backup distributor cap and points and stuff like that. He goes, here, you might need this for your car.
Okay.
And it's like a rotor and stuff like that, but it was funny. I remember that car, and me and my brother playing Dukes of Hazzard in that car. We'd lock the doors, roll the windows down, and try to climb in and out the front windows. So, it was really...
We've all been there.
But in my mind, it was a General Lee. I was
of course.
Dad, yeah.
Of course, yeah. I get it.
Let's go slide across this hood. Dad's going to kick our ass.
My riveted jeans are really going to help.
Yeah. Gum in the ashtrays in the back. That's the funny thing that reminds me now is like with this car, my kids are flipping open the ashtrays in the back seat. My car's probably got 7 ashtrays in it.
Yeah.
One for every person that could ever dream of sitting in this car. But they're like, what are these things? I was like, well, as a kid, that's where you put your gum and get your parents to yell at you. But it's actually an ashtray. People used to smoke all the time. It was pretty commonplace.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go too many places where somebody wasn't smoking.
Right.
And,
right.
And they're like, their mind was blown. It was like when I showed them the first rotary phone and they're trying to figure out how to make it dial. It was cracking me up.
Or the fact that you were smoking sessions on planes. But
oh, yeah.
It would drift around
Not
to the point
too long
that
ago.
everybody was going to enjoy that nicotine whether they wanted it or not. So.
I was just reading an article. I guess that just went away in like 88 or 89 where they got rid of smoking on airplanes. And I definitely remember that.
Mm-hmm. It is funny how things that we take for granted are not so.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if my kids would know how to roll down the window. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that
hand crank
sounds.
is unusual.
Yeah, they're like, well, why is there 2 of them? I said, well, these are vent windows. And there's no air conditioning in this car. And I was like, watch. I was like, crank that in. So she cranks it in and it's pointing the air.
Yeah.
It's grabbing all the air from the outside. And
it really
like,
works.
Wow, that really works. So I was like,
yeah.
Up until a certain point. And then it's just really hot out here. It doesn't matter what
it dries your sweat a little faster. What other memories or anything else about your cars? I know you have a bit of a Mopar thread to your history. But...
I think the first muscle car, though, that I saw a picture of it and I was like, wow, that is a really cool car, was the 65 Mustang.
Okay.
And I was like, and there was a kid in my high school that his parents had got him one. He was probably about 4 or 5 years older than me. But I remember him driving that around and going, wow, that is a cool car. And then got to meet the friends that were into cars. Well, the guy that did all the work on the cars, he was a Mopar guy. He had a 69 notch Barracuda with a 340 4-speed.
Okay.
So, I was like, okay, I really like these. And it was something like, it was one of those ones where it's like, not a whole lot of people have Mopars.
No.
It kind of stands out, which is a double-edged sword, because when you go to buy an engine rebuild kit for anything Mopar, it's probably twice the prices.
It's not like a 65 Mustang or a 67 Camaro.
Or, 350 Chevy engine kit.
Yeah.
It's relatively
Crate motor,
reasonable.
no problem.
Yeah. But, so, getting into that, got that first 67 Barracuda, got that rebuilt. Remember going to the first car show, went up to Albion, Pennsylvania, took my dad up, and I'm trying to think, 92, he would have been in his, late 50s, early 60s at the time. Maybe mid 60s. Anyhow, he wasn't a car guy, so he didn't understand the etiquette around cars. And I was mortified when he was walking by a car, just kind of tapping down the fender. He goes, "Yep, that's a nice paint job." I was like, "Dad, don't touch it."
Fingerprints.
No. It's like, "Dad, you don't understand. I'm not like this, but there's some people that are going to lose their freaking mind."
Yeah. Please don't even breathe on this.
Yeah, there are cars that I guess are that valuable, but my thought process is, that's fine. That's your car. You can do what you want.
It's consideration.
Yeah, and I'll definitely give that consideration. I would never want one of those cars.
Right.
Where I felt like I couldn't, I want to be able to drive it around.
Right.
What's the point in having that car to park it in a garage? I want to be able to go enjoy it and, go on a back road, and if a stone flies up and hits you, it is what it is, It's not going to make you happy if you get into a fender bender, but at the same time, I don't want to be at a point where there's absolutely no way I can replace it.
Nor do you want to keep it in a hermetically sealed capsule and
simply look at
absolutely
it. Not. Absolutely
Somebody once
not.
said to me, that's, again, to each his own, and there's no judgment whatsoever, but for me, and my dad was the same way, if you don't enjoy it, you're keeping it perfect for the next person.
Yeah.
As opposed to gleaning and enjoying what's there to be offered.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, that's where I'm at. If I'm going to have something, I'm going to enjoy it. I want to go and maybe get on a back road and beat on it a little bit, really
open up the four-barrel.
Open up that 4-barrel and, power jack until the tires start smoking, and have my son say, "Dad, is our car on fire?"
No. That's a power brake. That's what that is.
No, it's not on fire. It smells kind of funny.
That'll replace those tires this season. It's good. Anything about the car you talked about the convertible earlier and the kids enjoying it. Anything specifically about it beyond what you've talked about already?
Well, I did some research on it because, my background, I have a history degree from Slippery Rock, so I've always been just really into history, and that's part of the draw. And it's not, ancient history's fine, but like my thing is stuff that you can touch and feel and really get to close up, be able to enjoy something that's historical.
Sure.
Did a little research on it. Apparently, it was sold near Reading, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The original owner's manual was in there, and it had the dealership. They're still open. I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but they're still open. And someday I'm going to take a drive up there just for shits and giggles to pull into that lot and be like, "Hey, you guys sold this car, in 1966.
Here's the VIN.
52 years ago,
or
53 years ago."
Be kind of cool if you got some photos of it in front of it. Now, obviously, it's a renovated showroom, but if you had photos taken or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's what I do think that would be cool. The car, I guess, was built, it was designed to kind of compete with the Ford Galaxy 500s. It's where it's not a muscle car, it's a C-body, it's a long car. Like, sure. I'm kind of cringing if I do get up the funds to get a paint job done on it.
There's a lot of sheet metal there.
Wow, yeah, there's a lot of sheet metal. To be able to it's gonna have a lot of material in it, but it's it's a fun car. It really, when they say, oh, it's like a boat, it really is. Like, if you've ever driven a boat on a lake, it's kind of like that. It's just got this soft ride to it, and you're kind of just going with it. You know, you're not going to do any hairpin corners. You're not stopping on a dime. It does have power brakes. It does have power steering on it, which I can't imagine driving that car without power steering. Just, you know, it would take you... It'd take all your upper body strength just to back out of the garage. But that was the funny thing about that Barracuda that I had. It was a big block with the A-body, so all that weight sitting over the little car's front wheels.
Right.
There wasn't enough room to put power brakes in it or power steering.
Because you said it was
tight.
slivered in there.
Yeah, there was probably maybe a half inch on each side between they had a specially designed into our exhaust manifold and the inner fenders.
Okay.
So, you know, being able to put a power steering in that, you know, and power brakes, I don't know that it was... I do think they started doing that maybe later and down the line, maybe like with your 69s or something. I'm not really sure, but I don't know how they would have on that car. But I just remember trying to do a K-turn in a parking lot, and I was like, you're really, you're like, man, getting a workout here.
Lats and back workout. That's great. Well, cool. Anything else that you want to share with the Cuber community? A lot of men and women that just love cars and all things about them, but anything you want to share?
I just think that, you know, I think that it's people like us that go out there and enjoy it and get along and have those nice conversations. I really enjoyed going to Chrysler's at Carlisle and, you know, setting up my little tent behind me and a buddy of mine. We go there and we met up with some guys from Dillsburg that are a lot fun. They're a lot younger and they're a little more crazier at times, but they're really good dudes. But, you know, some days just sitting there by the car in the shade, drinking a beer and talking to some guys, you know, they'll walk by and ask some questions.
From all over the country?
Yeah,
and all over the world.
We'll be like comparing, you know, hey, I have a 66. I'm parked down there. Wow, this is different on yours than it is on mine. You know, it's that kind of camaraderie that really, you know, means something, and it's really enjoyable.
So to your point with that camaraderie, that is really the community that this podcast was built around. Car community, car culture, and it's about the people.
Yeah.
It's certainly not about me and my story. I want to bring the stories of people that we come across every day, car enthusiasts, to museums and anything that just has to do with cars. It's what brings people from all walks of life together, which is cool. And I think that's what you experienced at Chrysler. It
is, yeah. And I got a friend that's not really into cars, but we've been going the last couple of years, you know. We do the I think Friday and Saturday, and spend the whole day just walking around, taking in some of these cars that, man, can you imagine owning one of these, you know, you know, from the late 40s, early 50s cars to, you know, some of the really crazy muscle cars, you know, like the Hemi-Cudas and the AARs, and, you know, you're just like, wow.
Have you ever done it where you go to, well, the Chrysler Nationals or a car show, and particularly when they have cars for sale in the corral?
Oh, yeah.
My father and I would just say, okay, we have a virtual suitcase of $130,000.
Yeah.
And then we would go through and we'd go up and down the aisles a couple times and then come back around and say, all right, I bought that 63 split window Vet, and we kind of have this running tally of, okay, virtually these are the three cars I'm leaving with today. So.
Yeah, I do that kind of, not necessarily all the time in the car corral, but like just walking through I was like, man, if I hit the lottery, this is the car.
I'm coming back for this.
And to me, it's always been, it's like a plain Jane, it's like a B body Mopar, either, you know, something like a Roadrunner with a bench seat, a 4-speed.
Bit of a sleeper then.
Yeah, with the painted rims, and or to go back a little bit older and you know, do one of those max wedge cars, you know, where it's like, it looks like a grocery getter, but it'll blow your doors off, you know, like the little old lady from Pasadena type stuff. Yep. But like, those are the things, and I'm not really and teach their own. I've always been saying it, but I've never been into putting like newer wheels and tires on it and stuff that I I appreciate the factory end of things, and I've just never been into like the trick. Now, some people like that, and street rods, that's a whole nother thing. I think I'm like, you're totally, but to me, a muscle car, I'm like, it kind of, to me, it bothers me inside a little bit, but I'm like, it's their car, they can do whatever they want. But I'm like, oh no, they don't lower that thing. That thing's beautiful. Don't put those ugly wheels on it. But everybody's got their own likes.
That's right.
So,
and that's what makes it all go around.
Yeah,
just kind of fun. Well, thank you so much for opening up your house and let me stop by. We're going to head out to the garage and take a look at the ragtop, and I'll have photos on Instagram. So, Mike, thanks so much, man.
You're welcome.
All right.
Hey.
Coming back around to that question that we asked earlier, with the 67 Barracuda, with the 383 4-speed manual, what was the quarter-mile time? And the answer is actually A, 15 seconds flat for the quarter mile. Have you thought about how nice it would be to wake up every Wednesday morning and have Cars of Carlisle podcast queued up and ready for you so you can listen to it on your drive into the office or wherever you're headed to work? Maybe if you're going to be at the gym, wherever it might be, that you listen to it, have it ready to go. Well, best thing to do is for free, subscribe, and it'll be there each and every Wednesday morning. And be sure to rate and review. If you give us 5 stars and take a photo of that, we will enter you into a very cool drawing. I want to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Man Engineering out of Santa Clara, California. Thank you to those guys for all the support they give us. For all things super performance, be sure to check out man-engineering.com. I will say for now, thank you so much for riding along with us. Can't wait to have you back here next week. In the meantime, drive well, be well, and take care.